Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Russia's launched a wave of drones overnight, targeting at least 3 Ukrainian regions, according to local officials. A drone strike in the Kyiv region killed 1 person and injured several others. Firefighters discovered the victim's body while putting out a blaze at a garage complex hit in the attack. In Sumy, a drone strike set off a massive fire, destroying a marketplace, wounding several people and damaging 4 residential buildings. In southern Odessa, drones targeted port infrastructure, sparking more fires, according to the Izmail district administration. On Tuesday morning, Kyiv and northern regions were under threat of another wave of Shahed drones. Ukrainian air defense units engaged targets over the capital throughout the morning. Across the border in Russia, more than 300 people were evacuated overnight in Rostov-on-Don after a Ukrainian drone strike. Several apartment buildings were damaged and 4 people were wounded. Russian officials say that 13 drones were shot down in the region. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Deep State reports Ukrainian forces have liberated the village of Mirove, northwest of Kupiansk. Analysts say the advance removed a supply thread for Russian forces operating in the area, but Kyiv-based analyst Konstantin Mashevets notes Ukrainian strength there is still limited and not enough to block all Russian moves from the bridgehead north of Kupiansk. At the same time, Russian troops are unable to transfer heavy weapons across the Oskil River due to Ukrainian fire control. In Donetsk, Russian forces are attempting to bypass Chasiv Yar and strike Ukrainian fortifications from the rear. Now turning to the Middle East, Israeli forces intensify strikes on Gaza, killing at least 31 people, according to local health officials. Airstrikes and artillery fire pounded Gaza City, declared a bombed combat zone last week. On outskirts in the Jabalia refugee camp, residents reported explosive-laden robots demolishing buildings. Ukrainian intelligence has carried out another series of strikes on enemy infrastructure in the temporarily occupied Crimea. The Primary Special Forces Unit of the Main Intelligence Directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine struck a Russian airbase near Simferopol in central Crimea. As a result, 2 Mi-6 helicopters worth an estimated $20 to $30 million were destroyed. Now, these helicopters were actively used by Russian forces to transport personnel and cargo, as well as in combat missions in the south. Another successful strike targeted a Muscovite raid tug, like the Bukade 2090 in the Bay of Sevastopol on Crimea's southwestern coast. The vessel was part of the so-called PDSS system, which is an elite unit of underwater sabotage forces that provide security for Russian naval facility and bases. The loss of the tugboat, equipped to support naval sabotage operations, is a serious blow to the unit's combat capabilities. Now, training such forces requires significant time and resources, and the loss of a key vessel casts doubt on the effectiveness of their future missions. Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance recorded another Russian war crime in Donetsk. On August 28th, in a village in the Pokrovsk district, a Russian soldier shot and killed an elderly man in his yard. Drone video shows the victim unarmed and in civilian clothing. Despite that, the soldier opened fire. Ukraine's National Guard Azov unit identified the shooter as part of Russia's 95th Separate Rifle Regiment. Ukrainian officials say that this is further proof of systemic Russian crimes against civilians in occupied areas, in violation of human law and the Geneva Conventions. Ukrainian soldiers have demonstrated the effective use of the BRDM-2 armored reconnaissance and patrol vehicle in a combat zone. This video, filmed while the vehicle was on the move, shows the crew firing a heavy 14.5mm KPVT machine gun at Russian positions. Thanks to the vehicle's mobility and firepower, Ukrainian troops were able to suppress enemy fortifications and create the conditions needed for the units to advance further. In the Sumy direction, Ukrainian soldiers continue systematically destroying Russian armored vehicles. Operators of strike drones from the Wings to Hell unit, working with specialists from the Piran Industries, detected a Russian tank hidden in a forest belt. Despite enemy efforts to camouflage the vehicle from aerial reconnaissance, a correction drone accurately fixed the target. Once the position was locked, a strike munition was launched, disabling the armored vehicle. The detonation confirmed its destruction. And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. For more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.